Back in the 90s, I started playing with a little program called NewTek Lightwave 3D. And it was a program used for a lot of cool TV shows and movies. It was kind of like the standard back then. I didn't know what I was doing with this software, but I was turned on by it by the use of it in Star Trek. So that's how I started out using 3D. And then many decades later, I find myself working in corporate America as a UX front-end developer and then transitioned in a role of a UX interaction designer where I basically supported a financial application that most of the banks and financial institutions around the world actually use to this day. From there, to fast forward, I moved on and transferred and worked for a healthcare company that essentially supports online patients all over the United States. And as part of my role with that company, I got to a point to where I was looking at new opportunities to do some pretty interesting and out of the box thinking stuff to kind of help with the marketing of the company. And I kept having issues with photographers. So we had limited product that we had access to in order to show, because a lot of the product actually came from the pharmacy and a lot of us never even saw it. So that was an issue. But for the little things that we did have, we wanted to photograph it. The issue we had with photographers were they were never on target with the budget. They always went over budget, or they were always canceling or changing schedules when they could be there, or they would give you like a small number of assets for a lot of money, right? You paid a lot of money, you got very little assets in terms of photography. And if you had an idea to change something, you would have to call them back, reschedule, and go through all this headache again. So with that being said, I had an idea. I was like, okay, I want to tackle this 3D thing again, but I was totally terrified about the learning curve. But when this opportunity with my company came up, I said to myself, let's take a shot at it. What do you have to lose? I decided to tackle Blender, and what I started doing, and I'm saying this for you guys to kind of motivate you but confirm some things for you. I went on to YouTube and started finding like some content creators, and one of the first videos in Blender that I watched was Crossmind Studios. Crossmind Studios is amazing. Like, this guy's work is absolutely phenomenal. But he had an old series about like just the basics of Blender. I literally focused my attention on just using Blender's interface. That's all I focused on. I didn't care about animation, lighting, texturing, none of that, modeling, none of that stuff. I wanted to at least learn where things were in the application. So once I started moving to other things, then I had somewhere to go. After that, I focused on modeling. That's why my channel here is so focused on modeling, because what I want to do with you all is I want to start walking you through the steps that it actually worked for me. Now, granted, this was like 2 years ago. So within 2 years, I've learned how to model. I've learned how to do lighting. I've learned how to do texturing. I've learned how to do animation. And I'll be the first one to tell you, by no means am I an expert at any of it, but a lot of it I do understand, and I have been good enough to actually get paid work and still continuing to grow. I do want you guys to realize this video is not about me and like, oh, look at me and here's what I've done. This video is really meant to, one, motivate you, but number two, give you confirmation that fears that you have about learning this stuff, doubts that will try to come into your mind at times is normal, aggravation and frustration you'll get when things don't work the way you want to. All of those things are normal. This video is really just to kind of discuss me and my journey with Blender, show you some examples, show you some stuff you're probably going to absolutely laugh at because it was like terrible, but also to motivate you, like within 2 years, this is how good I started getting. To start off, the first thing I started modeling at my company when I identified a gap and an opportunity in some things that we didn't have working properly was a bottle that is essentially a cream that has testosterone in it that a patient would essentially take and rub topically on their skin, and it was a big seller for the company. So I started looking at reference, actually physical reference, but after learning a little bit about how to model and things from those videos online, I took a shot at actually modeling one. Now, try not to laugh too hard. The image that you're seeing on your screen right now is literally the first full attempt that I ever made at modeling something seriously in Blender. It is atrocious. However, I keep the image around because it kind of shows me where I came from, and I can go back and reflect on this thing. The next image you see here was a second attempt to refine that model, and if you notice, I discovered Shade Smooth. That's about it. We're going to go show you the third one, and then I'm going to show you, after some time of really learning modeling and really learning how to use Blender, what I ended up coming up with to get this thing to look right. So this image is a final version that actually ended up going in production of this particular style of container for the topical cream. And if you notice, there's a lot more detail in this one, and I had started playing with lighting, I had started playing with backdrops, I had started using what I'd learned to create product labels, and even if you notice the plastic of the Topiclick, it has glitter in it, so I even made procedural shaders for that. So this was probably a year into my first using Blender, so not too bad, but I was on this every day. The second most important product that the company had was a cypionate. It's a liquid form of testosterone that's infused in grapeseed oil. I made bottles for all of these products as well, and they did very well. But this has been about a year of me learning Blender, and I'm just kind of doing a very quick showcase of the different types of model that I was able to do within my first year, and I was getting paid to do this work. So you can do the same thing. The main thing is attention to detail, and you want to make sure you have good reference photos, and then learn the basic things like shaders, lighting. Lighting is a huge component to learn too, but within a year you guys can learn this, and this is kind of my purpose of showing you this. In addition, I created this little robot when I was learning physically based materials, PBRs. I also worked on caustics, which I always thought was really cool. And as most people do, I did the donut tutorial. The items that you're seeing here, and we're going to wrap up the video here shortly, but these are images that I created in year 2 my work modeling and doing work in Blender. So I hope you guys enjoy. Just kind of sit back and watch these. But like I said, this was really a little bit of background into me, but more so to the point of letting you all know that you can do the exact same thing. As a matter of fact, many of you here can even do better than me. So stay motivated, stay on the grind, put the time in, but learn the basics. You know, learn the reference, modeling, lighting, texturing, and stay subscribed and tune into videos because I'll be showing you guys all of this stuff as we progress. I'm going to do a heavy focus on modeling, but then once I feel like we all have that covered, then we'll move into other aspects. So thank you for joining this video, and I'll see you soon. Take care.